it's a week, y'all. We're coming out towards elections, and just being in the families that we are in and really not being like this politically active before in terms of voting, we just really wanted to go through and see like the voting plan that y'all have and the voting plan that we have put in place, so that we're actually going out there and, you know, taking this chance and taking our own like power to make decisions in like the political sphere, you know, as in like who's in power. And all this just to say that my brother and I have actually chosen to go in person, and that may not be right for you, but there are many ways to vote, right? So right now it's weird with COVID and stuff, and feel free to chime in whenever, but like most of y'all can be like mail in, and then or at a drop box, or like in person. So for us, when we're dropping off at a drop box or like returning like a ballot in person, it just has to like be like thrown in like before like November 3rd at 8 p.m. And this could be like anybody, someone else can turn it in for you if you want. And then if you're mailing it, like it has to be like postmarked by Tuesday, and then received like no later than Friday on November 20th. So yeah, like we just wanted to go through like the plans that y'all could do, and then kind of go through our perspective on why you should vote, and why we sometimes felt bad that we didn't vote before, obviously because we were young, but also like the active like community engagement that we should already be doing and should have been doing, and why we haven't, and why we are trying our best to do it now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I guess we're talking about basically why we want to vote, correct? Like why we changed from not being politically involved to more involved in politics, because one, we're older, right? And two, it is a much different time, correct? 2020 is a much different period of time where our votes are actually quite important, because we need to, or not only we need to, it's more we need to get to a place where we want, correct?
Yeah.
So it's like before, I think people even made polls or like surveys, I think. Mm-hmm. Or I would say stats of how many people voted in 2016 compared to 2020, and it was almost like double the amount of people voting. And that kind of brings up the questions like, why are more people voting? And that kind of does basically answer the question of why we are also wanting to vote, because we understand the importance, because we understand that there are many people, especially the people around us, that oppose certain things that we personally think is very important. And if they oppose it, that means whatever we hold true to ourselves is not going to be protected, or not going to have any impact towards people's lives, right?
Yeah. I think like, not to say that like voting before wasn't important, right? I think it's just like all the more important now because of like who is in power, right? And who would ruin a lot of people's lives and continue to ruin lives the way he does. Like if Trump were to like continue to stay in office, like so many people would continue to be hurt. And I think that's why it's like when the last election came, like we were like really young.
We were really young.
Like I don't think we were allowed to vote yet. I don't think we were at the age to vote yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. So I think that's why like we had pushed it to the backs of our minds and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then like I know there were like local things, but like we had also been like moving like to like you to like school and like stuff like that. We just had different counties, and like we didn't really know like who was who. But I think like even more so now, like I don't know how it is for you, but I really recognize, especially through like working with like like those students that I work with, like I've really been honing in on like how we what's it called, like how I can engage with the people that I'm close to. Right, because it's not only about like the person that comes in as like president, but also your local communities. Because like I was reading this thing where it's like, if you can't rely on the federal government, as in you can't rely on those authorities, your local governments and the state governments are what is going to support the people, like you directly support your communities, right? So when the federal government fails us, like we need to know that our state authorities and our state government will be there to support, right? So I think that's why it's like I think it's like knowing the impact that your vote has. And I know that, I don't know if like when you were younger, I felt like I thought I was like, oh, I'm just only one person, like it doesn't matter. And that's kind of like what we were taught too, like when we were younger. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think that is more for the presidential election, right? I never actually thought about, in all honesty, I never thought about like local voting, right? A lot of my friends usually just talk about presidential because we're in California. We're not a swing state, right? We're usually democratic, so that's why a lot of my friends are saying, oh, even back then, and they do say that now, it's, oh, we don't actually count, our vote doesn't actually count. However, since we got older, as I was talking to some of my friends, it was more presidential election, especially where we're at currently. It's not entirely necessary to vote, but it's more important to vote local.
Yeah, and also for the propositions, those are so important. Yeah. And like one of the things that like I immediately think about, just like within like our like direct Asian community, as in like the people that we know like directly, not saying like the whole
Yes,
Asian American community
not.
Here, but it was Prop 16. Like
Yeah.
there's so much backlash, right? Yeah, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And when we say people we know, it's mostly since we went to a majority of the high school was Asian, and we did participate in group activities, sports, clubs, whatever. We have met parents of our classmates, parents of our friends, right? And those parents are the people we're talking about. It is not it's not like 50% of the Asian population in Southern California. No, it's more, if that group of people that we know is, I want to say roughly 10 people, they 100% know more people on their own. We're not their only friends. So they probably know a lot more people who are also probably opposing Prop 16, right? Yeah. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. So as always, it's like we're sharing our perspectives on like why you should vote and like why we're voting, and like it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna vote. Like it's like everything needs a plan, and especially with like quarantine happening and the virus still going on, and like people spreading fake news and fake ballot boxes. Like I think it's important to really recognize like who are you voting for, and your vote does matter. Like your vote is part of you like doing your duty and doing the one thing where you can affect the government and like who runs like what, and like are we gonna get universal healthcare, like can we like continue to work like to reverse like climate change, or at least like stabilize like our climate. And there's so much at stake that it's like you cannot vote. Like like this election lies on like community. Like it's never been about like government and like the government authorities. It's like revolutions come from the masses, and then like it comes from people working together and community building and making sure that we're out there and we are voting.
Yeah, especially helping out your own community, and in our case, the Asian American community, right? What I mean by that is kind of like what I was saying for the Prop 16 issue, was that the parents are multiple generations ahead of us. I think they're, depending on when they're here, it's like what, they're like 2 gen 3 gen older than us, or is it
Yeah.
more, right? Yeah, 2 or 3 generations older than us. They're gonna definitely have different opinions on certain things, our parents included, our friends, our parents friends, our friends parents, right? All of their thoughts are different than ours. And I feel like why that's so important is because I've known some people who their parents are, how would you say it? I'm just gonna use the Prop 16 for example. Like, this is what they say. It's like they don't think Prop 16 is right, but their kids are more. They understand it more. They read about it or whatever like that. Like they inform themselves and they actually disagree with their parents. A lot of my friends disagree with certain things that their parents say, and I feel like that's also very important because that this is like the issue I think for Asian American communities, because there's a large majority that have the old time, like traditional thinking, right? And then the newer, younger generations have a new way of thinking, and it's really hard for them to actually, how'd you say it, think together or become an actual community because there's so much differences, right?
Yeah, like differences in perspectives and beliefs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a good like answer to one reason why we never actually voted is because our parents don't vote. They don't think voting matters. They don't think voting will help them, right? They just think, oh, put your head down and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And that is honestly very traditional Asian thinking, because many people would come here and say, let's not start trouble. Let's just do whatever we need to and get through our lives. And that's basically what many people are doing, right? Many Asian parents are thinking the same thing. And I feel like even for, I think this year why it's so much different is because with everything going on, people are becoming more, trying to be more involved in politics because they know there's so much issues. They know that certain things are going downhill. But what we see is that some Asian parents are actually going against what will actually be quite helpful, right? Especially since, like I said before, Prop 16, it's to help equalize college admissions, right?
Yeah.
And if you read everything about it, and from what I understand, is that they just want to level the playing field. And that doesn't mean racist, right? The college people will be like, oh, I don't like this person because he's this descent, this whatever, so we're not gonna have him in. Or oh, like what the Asian, like our Asian parents are saying, not ours, but Asian parents that we know say is that if they pass Prop 16, then Asian kids are gonna get discriminated against. But the issue with that is, there's nothing in the proposition that says that. They even have a place where it says they're not allowed to actually do it in a discriminatory manner, right? They're not allowed to be, oh, he's Asian, he's not in.
Yeah. I think it's like, to clarify on that, it's like there are already laws in place that like prohibit institutions from being like discriminatory against like race, against gender, against sex, and all of that. And obviously it's like sometimes that still doesn't work, but like there are laws in place for that. And the important part of it is that we're talking about preferential treatment, and in the prop it already says like it's gonna go under like scrutiny on like what exactly it is, but this is basically leveling out the playing field for underserved, underrepresented folks within the university system. So like I think there's a disconnect between knowing about institutional racism that exists, so that this is why we're trying to repeal Prop 209. Like especially now, I feel like the reason why a lot of people are voting, it's like 2020 brought into light, I was just like reading a bunch of like different like articles, but it's like it brought into light the issues that America has always had.
Yes.
And to deny that, like, you know, that the institutions, as in the universities, as in the police departments, are racist is just a lie. Like, they are racist. They are a racist institution, and that's why, like, Prop 209 should be repealed. Like, that's why like Prop 16 exists, and that's why like we endorse and we will support Prop 16. And I think that's why, like, especially now, it's like, I think one of the biggest like stories that we kind of talked about was like we actually had like a conversation over 2 or 3 days with our mom about Prop 16.
Yes, basically.
Until finally she was like, oh, I
get
see.
it. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it's like, because, or for me, I don't know about you, but for me personally, why I want to vote this year and why I really want to vote is, one, I'm gonna just be straight up, I'm petty. I want to like rub it in their faces that I'm like, everyone's saying, oh, we're no to Prop 16. I'm gonna be like, I'm yes, and I show them. But like, jokes aside, the main reason is because I get to see how different everyone thinks, right? Because for everyone in their own community, you want to think the best. You want to think, oh, my community wants the best for people, right? And I've seen that it's even worse than I thought, right? Because there's people Asian Americans supporting Trump, Asian Americans calling out being racist, and it's like, that's terrible. And so I'm like, okay, I want to fix that. I want to change that. I don't want like ignorant people, especially in like the Asian community, to be like that. So I want to actually put my voice out there and actually get something done. Right?
Yeah. No, I think that's like really great. I feel like that's why like a lot of times like we discuss this a lot, where it's like, even if we're one person, if we're just like one family, it's like we can still be a part of it, right? It's like, it doesn't matter that we're one person, but like we're one person that has these bunch of friends, and those bunch of friends have those bunch of friends, and I'm a really, really hardcore believer of like, like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
It's like, if we're doing our best here, like promoting and sharing and stuff like that, like that's how like stuff gets done. It's like, that's why like when we go and organize, and organizers bring in all like the protests, and like we stand together, it's kind of like, that's how we keep like people from oppressing like oppressing other like ethnicities and like race, just like, I just want how do I generalize this, but it's just like, that's how we can fight against like institutions that have been held in place for like hundreds of years. It's like, obviously it's like a huge task, but like if you act and you're a part of it, at least that's maybe just a few percentage like towards like actually achieving it,
It's still growth. It's gradual growth, because this isn't gonna happen in a year, right? It definitely won't. If it does, that's kind of crazy, but I don't really think it is. And I do want to add to what you said, that we promote, our friends will do it too. It's like, honestly, I've been talking to my friends a lot, and we've gotten more into politics too. All of my friends are saying, we're gonna vote locally, we're gonna vote, all of that, because and again, it's out of pity and petty, like being petty and out of spite. It's like, I want to hate on everyone that is like opposing their ideas. Like my friends, like I hate this, so I'm gonna just do it. I'm like, okay, cool. So it's like, I'm pretty sure, like you said, we do have friends that are promoting this. We are promoting this. It's like everyone around us is gonna vote. So that's honestly so amazing. Because it's like, younger generation people are always kind of like pushed down, in all honesty.
We're called snowflakes.
It's like all of that, but we stand up for ourselves, and they think it's disrespect. So that's actually funny, and I'm actually so excited to see actual change, because then they're like, oh shoot, we're actually really dumb, and these younger people actually make more sense.
Oh my god, yeah. And sometimes it's like, it's not like when we talk about like dumb, it's just like we're really like honing in on the fact that it's like, if like people lack the education and the awareness and the want to keep learning and to remain anti-racist and to have the best interests of the people in mind, and like vote like in the best like way possible for the greater good. It's like, you have to be aware of these things, like you have to research. And
definitely,
I think just like I think like when you like are so frustrated and you hate something so much, I feel like it just shows, like, especially with like your friend's personality and your personality, it's like you're thinking about like the good of like all people. And like leveling the playing field. And when there's so much like anger and frustration, I feel like it's like we know that it's wrong, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Like we know what's wrong, we know what our morals are, and we're gonna vote like based on our morals. And hopefully that's why it's like we're always talking and we're always like posting on podcasts, because it's like, let's spark conversation, like let's try to do something together, you know?
Yeah. It's like, one, we're also learning, we're also researching and constantly correcting ourselves, which is why it's like everything we say here is based on what we have read, but that doesn't mean we read everything, read 6-7 hours just studying up on one topic. It's like we just read what we think is necessary to know and then make our judgment. But if we get it wrong, please correct us and we'll definitely look into it more.
Yeah.
Because no false information.
Yes.
I don't want
Oh my God.
to.
I remember something. You watched Dr. Mike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know if y'all know. He's a DO and he's on media, and then I think we both like watching him, and he was talking about like the med school process, and he was like, oh, like in actual med school, like after when they're all like residents and stuff, it's like it's not that you need to like know the most or be the practical in skills. It's like you need to be good at researching. Because then, like, apparently he was like, oh, like, there's, like, a lot of, like, articles all the time, and you research all the time, and it's, like, when you do this, it's, like, it's not necessarily you need to know everything, because you're not going to know everything.
Yeah.
But you need to be a good researcher. You need to constantly want to learn and, like,
Yeah.
know more and, like, figure out what is actually up. And, like, finding credible sources and credible sites. I was like, oh, this could apply to, like, a lot of things.
Yeah, that could. It's, like, that's very hard to do because no one wants to be wrong. No one wants to be told that they don't know something, right? Yeah. I definitely don't, but it's like if I need to be and I need someone to tell me, oh, you got this wrong, then I'm going to take it because that's growth and I want growth, right? You want to be a better person. I know everyone wants to be a better person. There is always something that's preventing them, whether it's like some other issue, but it's like I think it's always good to learn, right? You want to better yourself. And that's completely off topic, but you know, I think I needed to add that in there.
No. I feel like it all comes down to, like, how have you been contributing, right? It's like, as much as you think, like, you know, you're just that one person, it's like, you can contribute. And obviously, I feel like it's also, like, keeping in mind that, obviously, like, a lot of people don't have the time to go out and, like, stay in, like, the lines and, like, vote, and that's, like, why, especially for those who carry that privilege, and, like, we have a lot of privilege, like, we're only students, like, we have the time to, like, wait in line if we need to, like, we are healthy enough to, like, go out, like, with masks, obviously, and, like, drop in a drop box, right? But for folks who can't, it's, like, it's the, I don't know, I just feel like it's the responsibility of people who can to vote for people who can't.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I agree. But, you know, I'm definitely going to vote. I got some people to piss off, so that'll be an interesting outcome.
Oh, man. I think it's just, like, whatever gets you to vote, whatever gets other people to vote, like, for the right people. And I'm like, there's no right person right now, but there's a better option than the worst, less worse option.
I have no idea.
Less worse.
That's like, if you know, my final words, right, is that if you know your community is doing bad, I'm not saying every community is bad, but it's like there are those bad people in your community. Like, I think
not bad, just like, like not necessarily, like they haven't been like radicalized, they haven't had that education yet, right?
Yeah, like ignorant people, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you want to help change that, you want to educate, you want to be like, we want to create a safe community, everyone's welcome, everyone's whatever, because it's like in the end everyone's gonna, you know, we all bleed the same color, right? That corny line. So it's like literally we're all the same people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like in the end of the day, it's like we're fighting for the same cause, like, especially within like minorities, and that's what we meant by, like, it's like we, by fighting each other, it just takes away your energy from fighting white supremacy, you know what I mean? So like I think my final thought, last like few words too, is that like it's gonna be rough no matter what, and I think it's just like make sure that like you're taking care of yourself, you're checking in with your community, you're taking care of your community, and y'all are like helping each other out, and we're helping each other out. So like it's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
But just like, I hope that we're there for each other and that we are taking time for ourselves after and just like making that space for us to like heal and grow and like work towards better future for ourselves together.
Yeah, because we have quite a lot of time in this world, so we're gonna make it a good world to live in.
Yes. Also, I don't know about y'all, but like, we're tired. I feel like everyone I've met this week was like, I'm tired. So I think like some rest, especially like before and after the election, is good. So just like take care of each other and take care of yourself. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So thank you to everyone. Like I said before, if you want to give us comments, tell us, oh, this is what you missed. This is something you should read. Like, by all means, leave it in the comments. Let us know. Like, this article is super informative. You should read it. It's okay. Put in there or DM us, and then we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, and we'll also do our best to like share the best like resources that we have. But yeah, if anything, remember to, what was the line everyone uses now? Oh, like, comment, subscribe.
Oh yeah, like, comment, subscribe.
Button, click.
Oh yeah, click that notification button. Apparently it doesn't. It's not. You don't get notified if you don't. So click it. Yeah. And follow us on Instagram and
For
social
fun
media.
stuff and important stuff.
Yes.
And serious stuff. And
Fun
all
stuff.
Of the above.
Take time. To cheer you up. Fun stuff.
Yes. Bye now.